I'm Laura Payne, the Education Director of the Carmel Symphony Orchestra, and I play string bass in the orchestra.
And I'm Jana Himes, the Artistic Director and Conductor of the Carmel Symphony Orchestra, and we would like to welcome you to the Palladium.
We have missed not filling the Palladium with students for the annual Sounds Exciting concerts in November, so we wanted to create a video that shares music from our amazing musicians, especially for those of you who are considering an instrument you'd like to play in your orchestra or your band this coming year.
And we'd like you to know how music has impacted the musicians in our orchestra and why music can be such an important part of your life. This has been a tough year with a lot of stress and uncertainty, but research shows that music has a positive emotional and physical impact on our lives. Our body actually releases endorphins when we play music, and those are the natural chemicals that make us feel good. We find community and acceptance by being part of a music ensemble, so we feel a connection with other people. At a time when so many things are trying to divide us, music is something that brings us together. It unifies us, and it gives us a common goal. Being part of a music ensemble allows all people to have equal importance, no matter their gender, their race, or their ethnic background.
And there are many long-term benefits when we play music. Brain research shows that music uses both hemispheres of the brain, so it improves processing and learning. Playing an instrument improves coordination and helps keep your brain healthy as you get older, like me. Music is really great for your life, no matter how young or old you are. We know many students look forward to starting an instrument in their band and orchestra, and we hope this video will help you to find an instrument that inspires you.
If a school opportunity isn't available to you right now, then we encourage you to talk to your parents about piano lessons or find a private teacher to start you on an instrument. Just find something that allows you to express yourself through music. Now, we'd like to share some music that was performed at our concert in October by composers from Hungary and Norway. These feature the strings of the Carmel Symphony Orchestra.
I started playing when I was 11 years old. I was invited to join the string program that my elementary school was restarting under its own initiative when I was in 5th grade. And I had been previously exposed to a neighbor friend of mine who played the guitar and played real well, and his father had incredible instruments, and I get to go over to his house and play on some of those. So an affinity for stringed instruments was just kind of in there, and when I was invited to join the string program, the teacher of the program called me up, and we did a little demo of how I could join him in playing a tune by playing a pizzicato in the right place of Pop Goes the Weasel. And I was just taken, and I started the next week, and 3 years later, I was at a performing arts school learning seriously how to become a professional violinist. My high school training, I think, was what made it possible for me to be a professional player. I was being interviewed by the recruiting committee for a foundation that was awarding prep school scholarships to young black boys, especially, to get high school prep and to get to be admitted to an Ivy League college. And as I was being interviewed for that, he asked me what kind of school I thought I want to attend. And I told him, well, I just started playing the violin and I'd like to go someplace where I could continue studying the violin because I really enjoyed it. And it just so happened that this gentleman was on the board of directors of the North Carolina School of the Arts, which is where I went to high school away from home at the age of 14. And there I encountered such amazing professionals like Agnes DeMille, Aaron Copeland, Sidney Blackmer, Jean Arthur. It was just an incredible place to be around some of the most incredibly talented young people and faculty that could be amassed in America at the time. This was back in 1970. And the following summer, after my first year there, we spent 11 weeks in Siena, Italy, touring most of central Italy. And it was such an amazing experience for me. I said to myself, you mean that I could see the world, basically, if I just practiced this instrument? And it turned out, yeah, it was absolutely true. And it opened up a world for me about music making, and the place in society of the arts in general that I was just completely taken by all of it.
The strings are the largest family in the orchestra, but the winds and percussion instruments add so many wonderful tonal colors to our sound. You will hear the flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, French horn, and the timpani in our performance of the Barber of Seville from our recent November concert.
Our musicians have been able to perform on stage during the pandemic, but you'll notice they're sitting farther apart than usual, and they're wearing masks. Some wind musicians have special masks that allow them to breathe and play more easily while protecting their neighbors.
By the way, for those of you who enjoy classic cartoons, you may recognize this music from a famous Bugs Bunny cartoon.
love playing different styles of music, and a style that I got into when I was younger was Brazilian choro music, which is really fun, awesome, like upbeat, lively, Latin style flute music, and it usually has percussion with it, so drums, sometimes guitar, other stuff. So I figure I'll just play you a sample of what some of this music sounds like. So let's get that started.
I have been playing the cello since I was 4 years old. I started at my local community music school in Washington, D.C., where I grew up. I was going to play the violin, but there was a very long wait list for violin students because all little kids play violin. So the school told me that I could play cello and I wouldn't have to wait. And my mom decided that that sounded like a great idea. So that's sort of how it all began. And I have been playing cello for the last few decades because of that. You know, feeling comfortable playing an instrument or doing anything really is a lifelong journey, isn't it? And there are times when I feel very confident, and you know, even though I've been playing for so long, I'm still learning as well. So there are times that I also don't feel as confident, but I will say that playing cello has really helped my confidence in other aspects of my life outside of playing the cello, mainly in that it is a really wonderful way for me to express myself. So if there are ever times that I'm maybe not feeling so confident or so comfortable in a new place or with new people that I've never met, I always know that the cello is something that I've had with me my whole life, and it just helps with my confidence. It really does. Music is absolutely something that I've used to help in difficult situations. One example is that love of music is something that I shared with my grandfather, and when he passed away a few years ago, I was able to play some of his favorite music at his memorial service, which was just a really nice way for me to deal with the situation, but also share something that he loved with the people that were there. And in addition to music being reflexive of the way that you feel, it's also something that you need to be able to change the way you feel depending on the music that you play. So even if I'm a little tired or maybe feeling sad, but I have to grab my cello and play a piece that's exciting and fast, I have to be able to capture that energy and that emotion. So yeah, playing music is a really emotional experience in all kinds of ways. It's exciting, it can be sad, but it's certainly never boring because of that.
My name is Melanie Mashner. I started the harp when I was 9 years old, and it's a bit of a fun story. I grew up in upstate New York, in Rochester, New York, and for those of you that know that area, there's a grocery store chain up there called Wegmans that's pretty incredible. And they were incredible enough to have a harpist at the opening of their upstairs cafe in the location not far from where I grew up. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and the harpist was so kind, and she let me touch and play the instrument, and that memory really stuck with me for the next few years. I bugged my parents about it nonstop, and finally they believed me and bought me my first harp to start learning when I was in 4th grade. I always joke about being the youngest child because I had to make up for it, I think, by choosing such a large instrument. The other instrument I play is the cello, which isn't much smaller. But when we first got the harp, I also had to have my parents buy a new car in addition to the harp, so I was on the expensive child list for a long time. But I'm glad to say that it's paid off, and I've had lots of wonderful journeys with the harp throughout my life all over the world. When I was 18, I came to study at the Indiana University Jacobs School of Music, and I came to this school because it actually has the largest harp department in the world. There are 25 harp majors at IU, and there was a teacher at the time called Suzanne McDonald, and Suzanne McDonald is a huge legacy in the harp world, and it was such an amazing experience to learn and play with her. IU took me many different places. I also was able to go to Vienna and live there for 6 months to study with the harpist at the Vienna Philharmonic. I worked for the USA International Harp Competition, which brings harpists from all over the world right here to Bloomington, Indiana. And I also was privileged to be the winner of the IU Harp Department Concerto Competition, which was an incredible experience to be able to perform for all of my colleagues and friends at this school. I have a very musical and supportive family, and my family actually all has names that start with M. My dad is a pianist, organist, and music teacher, and his name is Milt Mashner. My sister is a flutist, Melissa Mashner, and my mom, Monica Mashner, we like to call our manager.
I'm Emmy. I'm a student at Heritage Christian High School, and I've been playing the violin for 13 years. I started when I was 5. My parents asked me what instrument I wanted to play, and I said harp, and they said, how about violin? And I said, okay. And so I started on violin and piano, and I gradually started to like violin more, and I just fell in love with violin. And recently I picked up the viola as well, so now I play both. And I play viola currently in the Indianapolis Youth Orchestra. Around 4th grade was when I started to like violin a little bit more than piano, and when I hit 6th grade, I really felt confident and comfortable playing my instrument, like it was just a part of me. Music really just makes me feel like someone else, and it's kind of nice to just escape reality for a little bit and just become a violin instead of a teenager with a bunch of schoolwork. And stressors and everything to worry about. When I pick up violin and I start playing and I practice for an hour, I'm outside of my problems and I don't have to worry about everything that's stressing me out or making me upset. And for that time, I just get to be someone else completely. The most interesting experiences I've had playing music have just been when I play with my youth orchestra. We're all playing together. We breathe together at the beginning and then we come in at the same time with this like beautiful big sound. And we're just all together and we just feel like one unit instead of individual players. It's so interesting and unique. And my favorite memory playing with my orchestra is probably when we played at Carnegie Hall together, just because it was so nice to be in such a big, important venue together, and we all were so excited to be there that we just played our hearts out, and it was amazing. My goals for my future with music are just to be the educator that I had when I was growing up, and I had a fantastic orchestra teacher named Ms. Payne, and every time I go into orchestra class, it's the best part of my day. And I just want to be that for my students, and especially for students who don't have that from parents or other teachers. I just want to be that kind of escape.
There are so many times in my life that I have seen the joy that music can bring to people, no matter their age or their background. Sharing music together in an orchestra is extraordinary, and it requires us to work together as a team. Every person sitting in the orchestra has equal importance in working together to make a beautiful sound. Each person has their own part to play, but when combined with everyone else, those individual parts become a whole, and that is the magic of music. I have traveled to many countries around the world, and I've seen the diversity of people and cultures through music. Sometimes music is well rehearsed, and other times it's very spontaneous. Classical music has been around for hundreds of years, but orchestras around the United States have begun to recognize the contributions of performers from different backgrounds and ethnicities.
We hope you've enjoyed listening to music from the Carmel Symphony and meeting our friends. Playing music will change your life in ways you cannot even imagine. I've made friends from all over the world because my mother thought it was important for me to play piano. And then in high school, I learned to play the string bass. No matter where I have lived, I have had a place to be accepted because I played an instrument. Those friendships and connections have been important to me, and I hope you will explore becoming a part of your school's orchestra or band. It takes time and commitment, but playing an instrument will have a positive impact on the rest of your life.
We have missed our student-oriented programs this season, and I look forward to seeing you in the future at one of the Carmel Symphony Orchestra concerts. Thank you for spending your time with us today. And as we close, you'll hear a performance of our entire orchestra recorded before COVID-19. I want to encourage you to be part of the hope and beauty that music offers.